So when you're going through all these auction things, what I like to do is find the gems in the thing. So we got a pile of shoes. They're in this trash bag. There's a couple trash inside. But you never know what you're going to find. I mean, you got to comp things. So I got two of these boots. Once again, I don't know if they're worth a dime. Once again, they got to be cleaned up because they're just inside of a closet. Yeah, two of those. Are they worth anything? Probably not. There you go, some All-Stars. You just never know what you're going to find. Some, I don't even know what they are. Whatever. But just go ahead and, like, I don't mind sorting through all the stuff. But, like, and what I don't use, I usually just give it to Goodwill. Because some of it, like this, look at all that wear. Ain't nobody going to want to buy this. So that's a good but maybe you can still get a couple miles out of it from somebody. But yeah. Got to comp them first, before you even touch them with anything to find out if they're worth anything. But, if I got to dig through a pile of this might be worth something. I'll find out. They might be worth like $10. Who knows? I'll figure it out. Like I'm saying, though, you got to comp these things before you even start cleaning them. But that being said, a bag of shoes, it's like my second or third bag. I should be able to come up with a good amount of, if one of them pays for it, the thing's already paid for itself like several times. But at this point, if I get anything out of these shoes, good. But it's worth taking a couple pictures. So do your comping and figure stuff out before you just throw the whole thing away. Because you're like, I don't play with shoes, And I don't have any shoes in my store. So it's something that I don't plan on doing. But if it comes up, I'll play around with it if it comps good. That being said, they got wear. You got to consider the wear into the factor and all that. And some of them are just total trash. So send them to Goodwill and let them play with it. They will take it, and it saves me a trip from the dump. If Goodwill can make $5 off of it and they avoid me spending $30 at the dump, good on me, My Goodwill's actually on the way to the dump, so that's one less trip. But before I throw everything away, I'm going to comp it. Spend 5 minutes and checking prices on everything, because it's what I pretty much love about this is you never know what you're going to find. You might have to buy the dresser to find a jewelry box with a couple diamond rings inside, Nobody wants to buy a dresser. Dresser's hard to move. Dresser's a nightmare. Move it, figure it out. Maybe if you do find that jewelry box inside, you take the dresser. If you say you're going to take something at these auctions, take something. It's a bit of a pet peeve of mine, and it is just disrespectful. Sometimes they have a dumpster right on site. You can do it right there. You can just tear the thing down, bust the dresser up, get rid of it right there, and all good and dandy, and then take that jewelry box and throw that in the truck, and that, let's say, $5 or $10 dresser that you're throwing away because it might take a year to sell and it'll take up like a huge amount of space, and somebody's going to complain that I'm throwing away an oak dresser or whatever. Yeah, whatever. Some things you got to just let go. But like, otherwise, you can play around. But stuff like this, where you just never know what you're going to find. I'm willing to dig through the stuff that's full of trash and figure it out. Otherwise, worst come to worst, I've already paid for it when I bought the thing that these came out of, and I'll throw the whole things away. This is like my third thing of shoes. I'm just showing you guys this, but that's why I have a couple that don't match. I don't even think I got this boot. And if obviously I don't have the other boot, it's trash. Even though it might be worth something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But it's one of those things where you go through and you just figure stuff out. Because otherwise, whatever. I'm not going to play around with it. My best kind of auction is going to an auction where the previous owner was a reseller. That's what this was. So I got a whole bunch of good little finds. Yeah, so, and those are my best ones. That being said, sometimes you go there and people know what's going on. I got one tomorrow, actually. Or no, Saturday. I got one Saturday. That is it's just a house full of stuff, a couple reseller things, but it also has coins. So it's going to bring out the coin crowd, which is going to drive prices up for things that shouldn't have prices drive up. I'm hoping people are going to leave after the coin thing and it won't increase prices through the roof. But it's a game you play, But don't be like, if you find a bag full of like shoes, don't throw it right out the thing. You never know what you're going to find, Comp everything. If you want to, you can comp it right at the auction. But I'm telling you right now, you're not hiding it from anybody. Everybody knows what you're doing. And if they see you see something, get all giddy about it, and then tuck it back into the bag, they're going to know, you got probably 60 or 80 people running around you. It's not going to be, but you can comp it and figure it out. But I prefer to go into it and just buy a row of stuff for $5 or $10 and go through it and sort out the junk. And if it's junk, whatever, throw it away. If I can get one thing in that $5 row that's worth $50, that's good in my book. A lot of people don't like doing it that way. It does require more work. It does require more time. But generally, if I can find a 5 and a 50 in that row, sort it all out, throw away what I don't need, it's generally worth it. Now, you got to play around with all this nasty stuff, I don't even have gloves on. You got to play around with this nasty stuff. I'm washing my hands right after this. But usually I wear gloves. But, it's, you got to play around with that. And then you got to play around with cleaning things up, And then after you end up playing around cleaning things up, you got to actually figure out, comp it, take the condition, reduce that, and then after you've done all that, figure out if it's actually worth the time and worth listing and worth storing. And then make your listing, and then clean it. And maybe you'll find something during cleaning. Maybe you'll find a hole or something in cleaning that kills that cost, and then you got to throw it away. And if it's good past that, then you actually list the thing and put it up and take all your pictures and all that. But it starts with sorting all this stuff out. And the only way you're going to sort it out is to buy it in bags and stuff like this. Now, you could pull a single thing out, a single boot or boots, pair of boots. You can pull a single pair of boots out and tell the auctioneer how much, let's go buy the piece and I want to buy this. But that's going to reveal to everybody else that there's more boots in this bag, and you usually drive the price up. So I actually want the stuff to look like trash, and I have bought trash. I bought straight up bags of not trash. They were collecting, what are they? They were collecting Folgers cans. I bought a big, like a big thing of Folgers cans, plastic, 90s Folgers cans. Those got incinerated. But it was people collect weird things, and you might end up buying a whole bunch of trash and such, and there you go. But in my book, it's worth the risk to sort through it all, because I'm skipping by going to auctions or buying storage lockers and all that. You get this kind of stuff. You actually never know. But if one thing is worth the cost of the thing, Then the rest of it is a bonus minus all the labor that you got. So you gotta look go into that. But that's how you play around. Um, uh, like I'm saying, I'm probably gonna wash these down. Then I'm gonna hit them with a steam cleaner, best I can. Um, they're out in the garage right now. I'm letting them air out, um, and all that stuff. But then like I'm saying, before I even clean them, I gotta go through comping them, check out the condition, because if it's not worth listing, whatever. It's Goodwill's issue. They could take it. Maybe they can sell it for $3. That's below my screw around point, you know. Maybe even $8. Not worth it, because if I go $8 and then have to go, let's just say $10 in shipping, and the thing's only worth $10, it's going to be sitting forever. But if I give it to Goodwill, and Goodwill lists it for $8, Salvation Army or any of the thrifts, whatever, and they list it for $8, and somebody buys it for $8, keeps it out of the landfill, you know? So that's all good. So I'm good with that. And worst case, Goodwill throws it in the landfill, you know? It's not on me. It saves me money. I bet you that's about 2 pounds, maybe 3, of going to the landfill and spending that money to throw the stuff out. And, you know, sometimes it's not even worth playing with. Goodwill doesn't take everything, but what they take, I'll give them, you know? Like I'm saying, it's on my way to the dump. So it's less weight to get charged for. But if I can snatch 1 or 2 things out of there, and the thing is already paid for itself multiple times, that's a bonus. And it's worth the work. And a whole bunch of people don't play around with... I didn't play around with clothing. I would, like any kind of clothing, I would give up. Like I'm saying, I got like 3 totes of these. This is my first time doing shoes. I'm going to check out some AI. How do I do this? What do I do? You know, how do I picture it and all that? I'm going to do that so that it looks presentable, and that way I actually know what I'm doing as far as the listing goes. Check out the different sizes. Check out maybe something from the 90s. The sizes changed to something from today. A lot of this stuff's from the 90s. You know, maybe the sizes changed. I don't know, shoes or footwear. Let's go with footwear. I don't know footwear. I don't know if maybe a boot size has changed over the years, like some clothing does that. So yeah, like I just bought, I don't even know, over 100 pieces of clothing. And the only reason I bought it, because I looked in there and I seen some fur coat. So I was like, heck yeah, you know, bid on that as the auctioneer was walking by, and it was pretty much just me. So I got the whole thing for next to nothing, because nobody was bidding on it. These whole bunch of shoes were inside. They weren't in this tote. They were just in the trash bags, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah, trash bag. But like, you know, but whatever. I'll play around with it if I can make a profit. Now, it's not my specialty. I want to be doing automotive parts, you know. I want to, but I'm really pushing those off to the winter, because I got all these long sleeve shirts and fur coats and dress pants and dress shirts, and they're all fall wear. So I'm throwing them up now in the fall. So we'll figure it out. But don't pass stuff just because it's in the bags, you know? Or do, and I'll buy it, you know? I'm hurting myself here, you know? But like, it's worth looking. Now, you might find trash. You might find dead animals. You might find who knows what in these trash bags. You might find a can of peaches from 1992, you know? Who knows? Who knows? That's kind of the gamble. That's kind of the game. But if you're willing to play the game, it can be worth it. Now, you need to have the facilities to sort through all the stuff. You need to actually go through it. And once again, if you say you're gonna take the entire row, take the entire row. Because when you don't, the homeowner who has that auction to actually, they want everything gone. That's why they're having an auction. They want to clear out the house. They don't want you to leave them with all their trash. So if you say you're going to take the trash, take the trash. Okay? Plan on it. Take the trash. Do not leave the stuff that you say you're going to take. A couple auctions will kick you out of that. I always take everything. I don't care if it's tires. Like if you buy a pile of tires for the rims, there might be 6 rims and 30 tires. You're taking all the tires. Or I will. I'll take every single tire. And those tires cost me money to dispose of or get rid of. Maybe I can eventually find a way to make some money on them, but I don't want to store 80 or 100 tires before I go out and get rid of them all. And I'm talking junk tires too. I ain't talking anything that can be used. They're junk tires. But if you're buying like a pile of tires for the rims, and you just take the rims and leave the tires there, I would expect the auctioneer to give you a phone call later on. Once again, they know I'm good. They know I take everything, which also means that when you're bidding on something, if you're a bidder who is known for leaving stuff and forcing that on the auctioneers to take care of that after you've gone, and you do that multiple times, they might not even allow you to bid on it because they know you're going to leave that stuff there and they know they're going to have to clean that up after you. Whereas if you're known for taking everything that you say you're going to take, they'll probably let you have it, next to nothing. They'll probably have you as the bidder, and I'm turning down this guy because he leaves everything every time. And maybe that'll be a lesson to that next person to not do that. And next time they won't do that. But if you're throwing that on the auctioneer company every single time or whatever, if you're buying a storage unit and you need half the stuff in the storage unit, they might restrict you altogether. The auctioneer or auction company or whatever, they might kick you out. You're not allowed to bid. You're not allowed to buy from us anymore. You keep leaving stuff. Or they might charge you storage or a fee for leaving that stuff. They know who bought this stuff, and people leave so much stuff. If I had the resources and had the time, more about the time, if I had the time, I would actually arrange with a couple of auction companies to just take everything that they leave over, all the trash. Because, once again, it looks like trash to somebody, but I know there's probably something in that pile of trash that's worthwhile. Now, it would be, a majority of it would be trash, because it's already been sorted through at that point. But you never know. Maybe you're digging through a pile of shoes and you find a bag of Lego minifigs just in the corner of where all the piles of shoes were. From like the 1990s, once again, because all the shoes are from the 90s. And you find a pile of minifigs. Well, screw the shoes. I'm going to look them, I'm going to count them. But for the most part, screw the shoes. I want the bag of minifigs. Now, if you only take the bag of minifigs and leave all the shoes and leave all that trash, like I'm saying, you might not be allowed to play around with that auctioneer next time. They might, that's the guy who left us 6 bags of shoes, in the closet, and they were trying to sell the house later on that day or later on that afternoon, or maybe the next week they were selling the home. The whole point of the auction is to clear out the entire house and make it so that when somebody, and then they go through, it's probably a week later. They're going to do the auction. Then a week later, they're going to sell the house. And everything needs to be gone so that it looks presentable. Nobody wants to buy a house with trash and stuff on the shelves and maybe something hidden behind a wall. Maybe some stains hidden behind a wall. No, you want all that out of there so you can assess and see all that before you buy the house. And if you buy a house, it's like has a basement full of crap, and a majority of it looks like trash and has been already ruffled through and looks like heck, and maybe there's a couple dents in the walls and who knows what. because of the previous auction and they left all the stuff, that's going to bring down the value of the house. So somebody's going to have to come in between the auction and the selling of the house and clean everything out, and you know they're getting paid for that. So if you're going to, auctioneers usually go through and they sell everything in the house. So nothing should be left. If everybody was up on the par and everybody was actually respectful, they would take everything they're going to say they're going to take. So whatever. Do not turn down bags of unknown. Do not turn down that stuff. At least look through it. But like I'm saying, don't show your hand unless you have to. But once again, I'm willing to take the chance on a row of junk. Now, a lot of people don't want to play that game, but I'm telling you right now, everybody that buys storage units, everybody that sells stuff at a swap meet, and I'm sure there's a couple others, they do what I'm doing. And that's how they get the gems. They sort through it all, and then they go to the swap meet, and they'll dig through a pile of, they'll buy a whole closet of stuff, and then they'll like find a vintage jersey in there, and the jersey's worth like $300. That goes to their swap meet thing. They probably sell it for like $200 or $250, and they're happy because they only paid like $10 for the storage thing. And everything else besides that jersey, let's go with that, goes to Goodwill or goes right into the dumpster or whatever. But they're looking for that gem. Now it's a bit of a gamble, you got to know a little bit of your stuff, but it's a good way. I figure it's a good way to source. And a lot of people do not like to source like this. They like to go in, grab their super jersey out of that closet, and just buy that and leave the rest. And that's good. If you just say you're going to just buy this to the auctioneer, I want this piece, they'll auction it. You're probably going to pay $50 instead of $10. But you get that one piece, and then you can throw that single piece in your car instead of the entire closet in your car at the end of the day. Now, like I'm saying, if I'm looking at a jersey, I'm thinking there might be another one in there. Are you willing to possibly give it up? Maybe something doesn't look that great, as you have about a minute to flip through the clothes with everybody standing around you. You might see that jersey and be like, okay, yeah, I'm going 10 on this whole thing, and then you find the $300 one and maybe another $300 one, and there you go. You just doubled your money instead of just taking the one. Just because you were willing to take the entire thing. But once again, it's all about how you want to do it. That's how I do it. It requires a lot of throwing away stuff. It requires a lot of just sorting through, cleaning, playing around with nasty stuff, a lot of cleaning, a lot of labor. But I think it's the only way you're going to find this stuff at a super cheap price. The cheaper I can make it, the cheaper I can price it, which increases the possibility of it actually getting bought and staying out of landfill. Versus if I got to pay more for it, I got to charge more for it, so I don't fall into the hole. And then there's less of a chance of a buyer buying it or it taking forever to sell because. Let's say I paid $50 for the jersey and it's only worth $70, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. That's a horrible profit margin in my book. So yeah, you buy it for $50. You got to play around cleaning it, messing around with it, taking pictures, listing it, getting all up. And then you got to wait for that one buyer who wants that jersey. Sell the jersey. You're probably going to discount it. So screw it. 70 down to let's go 60. So now you're making $10. So your margins are just hell. And now it gets sold, but it might take a year because your price is here. Meanwhile, I bought it for 10. I have the same exact jersey And I can sell that thing for $50 instead of your 70, or 60. I can sell it for 50 and make a better profit margin. Once again, I have the other one that's worth or not 70. Whatever, I'm going to 70. But I could sell that one. Meanwhile, I find the one worth 300 in the back that you didn't even see. Or it might have been folded up in a quarter. Heck, it might have been in a box. I bought stuff that's already in a box. Doesn't look assuming at all. It's tucked in the back, or it might be inside one of these totes, and nobody looked into it because it was in the very back of the thing. Whatever, I'm willing to take that risk, but it's worth doing if you're willing to do it. If you're going to the bins and you're looking for single items at the bins, it's no disrespect for the bins, but if you're gonna do that, you're gonna do that, and you're fighting with 50 people, and if they're half smart, they're pulling their phone out while you're waiting for them to say go. You got your phone out and you just go click, 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 click. Ask AI. AI can kick you out an answer and be like, make yourself a little thing and look at your AI and make up an agent or make up custom GTP or something that goes through that pile and says, these are worth $1. What's worth more than $35 here, and it'll go through and say, well, this might be good, this might be good, this might be good, this might be good, all within about 4 seconds, and then you can snatch those things, maybe you'll get an elbow to the chest in the process, kind of deal. Maybe you want to get like one of those things, because that's how the bins are, but then you can see that. But you're really fighting with people. Whereas an auction, a lot of people don't want to buy those rows of trash. And I'll take it. I'm willing to do that risk. I do not mind. Because I'm willing to put in that work. My old country street, I got a cop flying on the road. Whatever. Ambulance, even better. Well, yeah. But yeah, like I'm saying, if you're willing to sort through the trash, sometimes you got to buy the dresser. I'll go with that. I'll go with the dresser thing. Sometimes you got to buy the dresser to get the diamonds. Okay? If you're not willing to do it, then you're not willing to do it. If you only want to buy the diamonds or whatever, the jewelry box inside the dresser, you can pull that out and tell the auctioneer, hey, I only want to buy this. I don't want to buy the dresser. I guarantee that auctioneer is going to open that up. And as soon as the lid of that jewelry box opens, that $5 dresser that had that thing in there, that price of that jewelry box just went up to probably, let's go $50 to $100, Especially if it looks like diamonds, it might go higher than that. If it looks like real gold, might go higher than that. But you never know. So, and I'm not going out and buying dressers. Trust me, I'm looking inside those puppies. But sometimes you got to buy the dresser to get the diamonds. Sometimes you got to sort through bags of shoes, to get one good pair. Some people don't want to do it. Some people do. Some people understand exactly what I'm talking about. Some people are like, hell no, not in my book. I'm not bringing that stuff. There's a reason why this sitting in the garage, isn't even in my house. I'm going to bring these out. I'm going to count these out here. And if they're trash, they're not even going in the house. There's a couple things that I do like that. Other things, they got to go in the house. They got to be protected. But a lot of things I won't even bring into the house. This is one of them. And I'll comp them right out here and be like, okay, we're going to do this. And check this out. Good. Only one shoe. That's trash. Good. Only one shoe. Whatever. And honestly, the only thing I'll probably get out of here is those Converse. And That's really about it. Maybe if I can find this other boot, I'll try it. Because it looks kind of whatever, but it's worn as hell. So I don't even know. But we'll see. Once again, you never know. You just never know until you actually comp the things if anything's worth it. It might look like trash. You might get like an 80s shirt that's god-awful ugly. God-awful ugly, but it brings back memories of that 60-year-old who, worked for Mary Kay, and that was her favorite shirt, and she's willing to pay $50 for it, Stuff like that. You just never know until you actually comp the stuff. So, you guys have fun. I'm going to let you go. See ya.